Well, I did leave one car up in the dollar maintenance area, but once I got that car into the AR line, I looked out over the up-down lot. It was nearly completely empty. There were only two dirties. I walked over to them, and neither of them looked like anything that belonged over a dollar. So I decided, rather than taking a dirty to the dollar return to get the dollar one, it was just better to leave it. Somebody else will get it. Everything else that I could possibly do tonight, I've done. Yeah, it's time to call it a night. Clocked out at 11:24. So I'll put my bag of food and beverages in my car, grab me another bag, and go see what there is to loot that was left behind in that white Bolt. It looks like it was probably a repo car that somebody didn't get all the junk out of. I don't recall there being anything particularly exciting in it. Oh, except for there's a cell phone holder that looks like it has a wireless charging pad. Not like I think any of my phones support wireless charging, but still pretty nice device to score for free. I'm out of here. It's 10:35 p.m. Some interesting items inside that Chevy Bolt, but every time I get in one of those cars, I feel kind of sad, because I can just tell somebody was like right at the edge of just barely keeping their life together and hanging on, and in their mind, losing that car was probably the worst possible thing that could happen. But it's a Hertz rental car. It's not financially feasible for that to be your home and your transportation if you're to the point that you're homeless and you're just trying to keep it together. It's just not cost effective. And I don't know for sure if the person who lost that car, it screams repo. I don't know if the person who had that car was living in it or not. There was an unusually large amount of stuff in it for it to have been turned in one of our return lines. But this is the one item that really gave me pause, and I was hoping to get under a street light to put the item in front of the camera, but wow, 2 out of 3 street lights in this cul-de-sac are burned out. All right, I got a little bit of light here. Here's the one street light that still works. Got a little wristband and a card that just says Canes with a magnetic strip on it. I have to ask my daughter to be sure, but I don't think that is a gift card. There's nothing on that that would indicate that's a gift card. My gut feeling is that was probably an employee of Canes, and that's the card that they, I don't know for sure, but I'm thinking that's the card they use to clock in and out. And I can just imagine somebody working at Canes because it's the only job they can find. They're just really, really down on their luck, and are homeless, and they're just living in this rental car that they just have, trying to get ahead enough to rent an apartment. And of course you're not going to get ahead enough to rent an apartment when you're dumping all your money into a Hertz rental car. All right, didn't even make it a block out of work, and there's a vehicle driving with no headlights on. And considering that it's where it is, I wouldn't be surprised if they just rented that thing. And that is why I try to put every vehicle that I park in the auto headlights mode. But yeah, the car had a lot of the telltale signs of somebody was probably living in it. Half-empty bottle of mouthwash in the glove box. A couple dirty pairs of socks inside the car. Of course, I got a couple dirty pairs of socks in this car, and I'm not living in it. But God, this car does look like I'm living in it right now. It's hard to say what the story is behind the stuff that was left behind in that Chevy Bolt. And an electric car does seem like an odd choice for somebody who's living in their car, until I start to think about it a little bit more. One of the biggest problems if you're living in a car is, where do you park where nobody's going to mess with you? You got a built-in excuse with an electric car, particularly a Chevy Bolt, which won't charge at anything faster than level 2 charging. You could be parked at a public charger for hours on that thing trying to charge it up. So if somebody does come up, a security person or a police officer, and wake you up, if you're in a Canes uniform and you're sleeping in the car, you can just tell the officer that I just got off work and I need to charge my car and I'm tired and I live in an apartment and I don't have anywhere to charge my car in my apartment. And I don't think the cop would really question it. Shit, if I had a Chevy Bolt, I'd probably find myself doing that from time to time. I really don't know where the hell I would charge one. I don't know if I'd be able to charge it at home. Most likely not. So it's Tuesday night. I'm really jonesing for some karaoke. I did get a couple text messages from Priscilla not long ago, showing me some pictures of dried okra and saying she forgot to tuck that into my lunch. I like dried okra. She knows I like dried okra. So that little phone mount, which unfortunately is the kind that attaches to an AC vent, I'm not fond of those. But it seems like a pretty decent quality mount. It's got the cord to plug it in and wireless charging. I don't know. I don't see me actually using it anytime soon, but I'll add it to my collection of USB phone accessories. I got quite the collection of those now. And I got a really neat pair of scissors out of there as well. And a ping pong ball, because God knows I need a ping pong ball. Quite a few pens. I can always use some more pens. Part of me really wants to go home, and part of me really wants to go over to the Dirty Drummer and sing some karaoke. I forget what time they shut it down on Tuesday. I know they don't keep it running until 2 a.m. They shut it down at midnight. It's kind of pointless. If they shut it down at 1, I think I'm just going to go sing one song, get it out of my system, and head home. Unless Priscilla texts me and tells me that she wants me in her bed again. And even if she does, I need to go home and feed the cats. Because I went directly from Priscilla's place to work today, and I'm sure the kitties are hungry. Sambo's probably having an existential crisis since I haven't been there for so long. It's a really enjoyable night at work. Feels super bad for Steve, but then again, I'm amazed he still has a job there. When I first got in and was talking to Andre about what had happened, I told him I didn't think Steve would be coming back, and then he said that he thought he saw Steve rolling around earlier, and I'm like, wait, what, really? And then it wasn't too long after that, as I was moving something with a pop trunk out of the shop line, I looked over to the left, and there was Keontae driving a shack with Steve in the passenger seat. Yeah, all in all, this was a really enjoyable night at work. Oh, and after I got the stuff out of that Chevy Bolt, I remembered to go pick up my recycling. I had 3 little piles of recycling going on last night, and I totally forgot to pick them up, and somebody trashed them. Which is fine. I mean, to anybody else, that just looks like 3 little piles of trash. In fact, to most anybody who sees that stuff, they're probably wondering who the asshole is that threw the drink container out on the ground. I really do hope to cash in some recycling soon. I'm frightened of just how little they probably pay for it at this point. In fact, I keep waiting for the day that I go down to Brightgate Recycling and find out that And to be fair, type 1 plastic was never a particularly lucrative thing to recycle, but it was enough money that it added up. At this point, I just bring in boxes of it, and it's a couple of dollars on top of the aluminum. And the aluminum doesn't really add up to much these days. I forget money-wise what it was going for the last time I cashed it in. But it seems like it's less than half of what it used to be back when I was working at Gilligan's and Castaways and would get loads and loads of cans from both places. There was a time I never really thought too much about what I was spending on my storage units, because using that as a space to do my recycling more than paid for what the rent was every month. Anything else happened of note today? Finally made a substantial payment on my debt to the power company. That's a good thing. And it's a good thing I decided to call them when I did, because when I talked to the rep, I told her I was getting ready to do it through my online banking, and she goes, well, that could be a problem. I said, why? And she goes, well, there's about a 3 to 4 day delay. I said, yeah, I'm aware of that. She goes, well, your payment on your payment plan is due today. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't know, somehow I figured I'd get an email before, and maybe I did get the email and I just didn't see it. I don't watch my email inbox as well as I used to. But yeah, got it handled. I didn't pay anything beyond what the agreed upon payment was in the payment plan, as I'm trying to be as frugal with my cash as possible. I'm hoping I'll get some more work at Factor this weekend, but I'm not counting on it. I'm driving home out of sheer habit, but you know what? I really do want to head over to the Dirty Drummer and sing a song. Which is alright. This isn't the worst route I could take to the Dirty Drummer. Yeah, I do find myself wondering, since they've cleared all the homeless people out of this area, and it looks like they're all cleared out. I don't see anybody on either side of the road or the corner of the park at all. Oh, actually, I do see one person at the corner of the park. Just one, though. I mean, that's nothing compared to what was there, say, 6 months ago. And since they've cleared out the zone, kind of got to eat my words on that. I swore up and down there was no way in hell in Phoenix was going to comply with that court order, and they totally did. But I find myself wondering, where the hell did all those people go? I do suspect there's quite a few camping along the wall on 44th Street in front of the Arcadia Crossing Shopping Center. It's been a while since I've gone that direction, but every time I go that way, I do see quite a few homeless people squatting there. I do believe the city of Phoenix is actually starting to actively work on the problem right now. And I did see in some news report somewhere that they opened up some kind of a campground specifically for homeless people. And I wasn't able to really find much information about that, but I'd like to. I would imagine probably the best place for me to find out about that would be to just go have lunch at the Human Services campus, or breakfast over there, or maybe have dinner at the Andre House. There's usually somebody ready to give me information about what all's going on.